Jen from Phoenix and Lotus, catching up on the 31 Days of Tarot Video Challenge, and today we're going to talk about court cards. So I'm going to do this in reverse order because one of the questions is, do you think that the tarot court is still valuable, needed, or is it an outdated modality? And I'm going to say that I definitely still see value in the tarot court, even though we no longer live in a society where you have that same sort of hierarchy or order of things. Where I think the tarot court has value today is still representing those archetypes of maturity and points where we are on our journey and how we fit into the social structure. For example, I think that someone who is a new initiate on a particular path could be represented as the page. For example, if you're just starting to study for a new profession, for example, maybe you've decided that, you've been a mechanic for years and years and years, and now you decide that you want to be a massage therapist. So when it comes to that career portion, you very much might be that page. I think that when you're going off on a new adventure, the knights absolutely come into there. When you're establishing sovereignty, whether that's internal or external, the kings and queens are still relevant. I think that looking at the queens as more self-contained, more behind the scenes type of energy, and the kings as a more dominant, not necessarily dominant, but more visible in public might be a better way to look at that. But I definitely think that there's still a tremendous amount of value in the tarot court. And I think they're also great for showing those sort of family dynamics that, the king or the queen can certainly represent a family matriarch or patriarch. A knight could be a sibling, a page could be a child. It's helpful in deciphering those sorts of relationships and interactions and roles. So even though I would say that the names in some cases may seem outdated, I think that the court as a representation of different roles and dynamics absolutely has value. And I love the way that a lot of the decks that I've seen are renaming that. For example, the Wanderer's Tarot and the Slow Holler Tarot. Instead of using Page, Knight, King, Queen, you've got Wanderer, Philosopher, Goddess, Visionary, names like that. So there are deck creators who are responding to that notion that this nomenclature or taxonomy that we've been using may no longer resonate with people. So while they're keeping that notion of different sort of levels of sophistication or different drivers or motivators for people, they're renaming them to be more aligned with ways that people in modern society interpret their roles or identify themselves. So that is my take on the role of the tarot court. I don't know if that was helpful in explaining whether or not I think it's outdated. I think in some cases the names may be outdated, but not necessarily the archetypes and functions or maturity levels or characterizations they represent. So that's my take on that part. The next, which is fun, is who are the court cards? What's your relationship to the different court cards? So who would you date? Who would you marry? Who is you have as BFF? Who's your mortal enemy? This is hilarious to me because I am Queen of Cups. I am Queen of Cups all day long, twice on Sundays. that's it. I also have some of the other things, but mostly that's my jam. I'm the Queen of Cups. And my mortal enemy, other Queen of Cups, because I'm an only child. I want to feel special. I want to feel like I am unique. And I'm also a Scorpio, and that other, yeah, it's ugly. I know this about myself. I've overcome it a lot in recent years, but yeah, for a very long time, Queen of Cups, mortal enemy. Also, who would I date and who would I marry? I love me some Knight of Wands for dating. Like that adventure and dash and all over the place for a good time. Sign me up. Not so good for the settling down. I totally get that. Same with the Knight of Cups. He's got that romanticism. He wants to court you. He's in love with the idea of love. Very sensual. Love that. However, those are the playthings. When it's time to settle down, give me the King of Cups all day, every day. Someone who's self-aware, someone who's gone through that dark night of the soul and understands that he's flawed. He definitely understands that he's flawed, and he understands that he has some work to do. And someone who can help me understand that, yes, although I am flawed, I am still beautiful and worthy of love and worthy of partnership and support and all those other wonderful things that go into any type of truly committed relationship. That's what I want. And I think that the King of Cups is remarkable at that. And I say this not just because my husband is a King of Cups, but I say it because, yes, I value the passion and intellect of the Kings of Wands and the King of Swords as well. And I value the resourcefulness and stability of the King of Pentacles. But when it comes down to it, I want that emotional, intuitive connection. My BFFs, I would say my BFFs tend to be Queens of Swords and Pentacles. And it's very fun to me because two of my closest friends, very grounded, very down to earth, very conscious, actually more than two. A lot of the women that I'm close to have this very earthy, healing, down to earth, very grounded, very concerned with the physical resources, making sure that everybody has the things that they physically need. And then several of my other really close friends have that Queen of Swords, very deliciously witty, intellectual, like discussion, like to debate things, like to ask questions, like to sort of push, like, what are you thinking about this? How come you don't do this? What happens when you try that? So I like those two. Those two tend to be who I gravitate to for the BFFs. And I know that there are lessons that we can learn from all the different court archetypes, but those are just the ones that I tend to find myself connecting with most easily and most naturally and with the least amount of effort. I would say that the people who you sit down next to and just start talking to at a party and it's like you've always known each other, those for me tend to be Queen of Swords and Queen of Pentacles. So that's who I connect with most in the tarot court, and I'm looking forward to seeing who you all vibe with.